We're coming off another week of football, of NFL action, where Andy Dalton once again proves he is him. Malik Willis, he is him. Jaden Daniels, is he him? And if you're a Jaguars fan, well, everything feels dim. It's football, bro. You can catch this live Monday and Tuesday on the YouTube. You could also check out the audio version on all podcasting platforms. Let's go ahead, get into the week 3 action, the week 3 slate of games. As I guess we start with Thursday night, right? Real quick, I mean, Patriots, they lose 24-3. Fun fact. Offense, yeah, it kind of is what it is. If you can't get the run game going, then good luck with the passing game. Granted, the offensive line, not only is it not great, it was also very hurt, very beat up. This was good for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers looked great. He took everything the defense was giving him, just moved the football. Braylon Allen is looking like a good part of this run game, just this offense in general there with Breece Hall. And if you're the Jets, you kind of needed this. You feel really good about this. You feel really good that your run defense actually stopped somebody this week. So, yeah, I mean, this is probably a sign of things to come for the New York Jets. Patriots, this is kind of a wash year. As you're just hoping to develop Drake May. I kind of hope that they don't start Drake May anytime soon. He got to come in at the end of this game with the game out of reach, and I think that's fine. I think that's a-okay. But there's just been a nasty knack of recently, and a lot of people are talking about this. Oh, should quarterbacks be rookie quarterbacks be allowed to develop and not necessarily start their rookie year? And that's probably a good conversation to have. I mean, we've seen rookie quarterbacks either thrive or just hit a brick wall. I mean, we're seeing it this year with like Caleb Williams, Bo Nix. Though Bo Nix did have a really good game this past weekend. Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson. We've seen in the past with guys like Justin Fields, Mac Jones, and company. So maybe just let the guy sit. I'm not saying go the Carson Palmer route and be like, all right, well, you're not going to see you're not going to see starting time until year 3. But at least the rookie year, man, just let him chill on the bench. If you feel confident in him, start him later on in the year. But you better also feel good about your offensive line. I'm just going to say that. Let's go to Sunday. Giants, they beat the Browns 21-15. This game started off like, okay, this is going to be a bad game for the Giants because they fumble the opening kickoff and the Browns pick it up. Freaking Deshaun Watson gets a touchdown to Amari Cooper. Wasn't the prettiest pass, but Amari Cooper, he is him. You're going to be hearing him a lot in this stream. But after that, man, the Browns, they're going to do a hot lot of nothing. Deshaun Watson, this was just a bad game. He is inaccurate or he is holding on to the football for way too long. And the Giants, which is kind of wild. Shane Bowman, not a guy that typically sends a lot of pressure. Sent a lot of pressure. There was a lot of pressures in this game for the G-men. Let's take a quick gander at it. 36 total pressures by the Giants is an absolutely ludicrous number. Brian Burns had himself a hell of a game. Let's look at the pass rush win rates. Because I like looking at those because, I mean, they traded for and paid Brian Burns. KT is, I guess, still developing. KT, 11%. Not ideal. You want that to be better. You had Brian Burns up to 15.2. So I feel like you're just dealing with that. You're kind of content with not having elite pass rushers, but high end guys that could be like solid edge ones, but they're not a part of like the cream of the crop, the de la cream, whatever they say. It's just kind of where you're at, which is fine. I mean, dude, freaking Dexter Lawrence is kind of the guy as a pass rusher. But this was a good game plan for Danny Dimes. He got to dump it off quite a bit and allow playmakers like Malik Neighbors, obviously, but Wandale got involved in the action. Those guys were able to create after the catch. I think combined they had 9 forced missed tackles. So, yeah, real good game there for the Giants. If you're the Browns, man, golly, this sucks. I mean, you're banged up on the defense. You had guys like Maurice Hurst and Juan Thornhill hit the IR last week or week prior. You're still waiting for your tackles to get healthy. Now you have Wyatt Teller. He's going to be missing a little bit of time. This feels bad. And you're in a hole. You're in a hole with that Deshaun Watson contract. So this is not a good place to be if you are a Browns fan. I feel for you guys. I feel for y'all. Green Bay Packers, Malik Willis revenge game. He wins 30-14. And we did get that just Will Levis in this game. What can I say? He threw the pick 6, and it was bad, dude. It was you had, I think it was D-Hop on a little hook route, and basically Jair Alexander, he's just staring down Will Levis the whole time, playing with inside shade. So yeah, he's looking to jump. And Will Levis just stares it down, makes the throw anyway. Boom, bing, bang, boom, pick 6. Now the game didn't start that way for Will Levis. Matter of fact, the opening drive was pretty darn solid. They were able to answer back on Green Bay's first initial score, but golly, dude, the run game couldn't get going, and then they abandoned the run game because they got behind quick as they couldn't stop Malik Willis and company. Malik Willis was basically creating the ground game for the Packers with his feet, and dude, Matt LaFleur, this has been a wonderful game plan with Malik Willis. Again, just let Jordan Love get healthy. If you could get wins from Malik Willis, then hell yeah, dude. Go ahead and do you, baby boo. We did see the pass rush come back alive for the Packers, which is nice. And my boy, Kingsley Nagbari, yes. Ended up having 3 pressures this game. I think he played the most snaps he has this season, but looking good as a rotation player, man. I feeling really good about that. But Packers, they moved to 2-1. Titans, they're spiraling out of control. I think they also lost Chidobe Awuzie this game. He's going to miss a few weeks. Didn't sound like he's going to go on IR, but he's going to miss like 2 to 3 games, unfortunately. The Indianapolis Colts, they beat the Chicago Bears 21-16 in a really weird game, man. Really weird game. You had, I guess, for one, the Bears, as Kirito puts this so delicately in the chat. Bears offensive line about as useless as Sakura and Naruto. Where are my anime fans at? Where are my anime fans at, dude? Because, yeah, this offensive line cannot get, like, the run game is inept at this point. And this is the problem. Caleb Williams, like, the opening couple of drives, man, they looked good. They may not amount to points for the Bears. They were solid. It was functioning. It was moving. Cool. Love it. But with the inability to actually run the football, and with the Colts, against a Colts team whose run defense has not been good, and you still can't get it done on the ground. And, I mean, at this point, it's like, well, no one's going to take the run game serious from the Bears. So, yeah, they're going to pressure Caleb. They're going to blitz Caleb. I know, Gus Bradley, he don't do that. But still, they're going to put pressure on Caleb, whether it's like, well, I mean, this is a team that does a lot of stunts and twists. And we know how good the Bears are at picking up those. They're not. and it puts pressure, and it causes Caleb to revert back to, oh, okay, I'm playing for USC in 2023. I'm going to have to make something special happen. And it's caused him to go into this, like, just poor decision making. And you just don't love it, man. You just don't love it. And something's got to give with this Bears offensive line. Something's got to click because they're not bad players. They're not. And I don't think they're playing entirely poorly. It's just you get gaffes from a different player every play. So they got to get it together. Jalen Jones ended up having 2 interceptions in this game. Good on him. I think Jalen Johnson should have had a pick 6, but he stumbles, he falls. And by the way, on the other side of the ball, like, Jonathan Taylor won the game for the Colts. The Bears couldn't stop him on the ground. Be fair, that's a really good offensive line for the Indianapolis Colts. But Anthony Richardson, he's either inaccurate or making just bad reads. Like, the interception in the red zone was just a bad read on his part. So they're able to skate by, get their first win in the season. Good for the Colts, but I don't know, man. Something's gonna give. Neither of these teams feel, at least on the offensive side of the football, feel too confident. We haven't had that Anthony Richardson game like we saw in the opening season. Last couple of games just been like, oh, he can't put the ball on the money. You don't, like, okay, are we gonna get like okay, you might go 7 of 17, but is that gonna be for like 200 yards, or is it gonna be like for 150? Like, yeah. I mean, to be fair, the Bears' run defense, I thought the Bears' defense was really good. It's been really good this season. I thought it was pretty solid in this game. When you have a running threat like Anthony Richardson and you're trying to play for that, but you also got to take into account Jonathan Taylor, it's a tough task, so I don't fault the Bears for that. Jonathan Taylor was bound to have a breakout, kind of a breakout game this season, as he's kind of started the year slow, so good for him. So this might have surprised people. And yeah, I mean, sure, it surprised me. Vikings annihilate the Texans 34-7. And Brian Flores just owns Kyle Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan disciples. I guess that's just it. That's just the thing. I felt so good about the Vikings defense. I actually started them in my big money fantasy league. Had a really good time with that. Really, really good time with that. But yeah, man, this Vikings defense is crazy. It's legit. Like, they were well, I mean, okay, for one, Texans missing Joe Mixon. Yeah, the run game was kind of not a factor in this game. That's kind of what it was. But they do such a good job of keeping the quarterback off rhythm, off timing, right? Because it's not necessarily all their blitzes hit home or all their pass rushes hit home. That's not necessarily the case. Because they got 20 pressures in this game. But just being able to make the quarterback feel uncomfortable. Because they were able to do that last week against Brock Bowers. But still, the run game was pretty solid for the Niners. It's all about the passing game, right? It's all about making the quarterback feel uncomfortable, uneven. This ain't college. You ain't going to be able to be like the Michigan Wolverines and only pass for 32 yards and win the game. Or at least on the consistent basis. So you're going to have to be able to pass the ball. So being able to make the passer just never feel comfortable. And I thought Justin Fields, wrong Ohio State quarterback. I thought CJ Stroud did a relatively solid enough job. I know it says he had 2 interceptions. One wasn't his fault. It was a batted ball. It was deflected. It is what it is. But he had only 1 turnover-worthy throw in this game, but still unable to feel at ease and get things going. Sam Darnold, by the way, choo-choo, glad everything's okay. Looks like he only has a bone bruise in his knee, so he should be okay moving forward. But yeah, this offense for the Vikings too. Like, Sam Darnold is rolling. Like, listen, I still find it so hard to believe that this Vikings team is going to be good throughout the whole stretch of the season. I can't for now I just can't say they're like like a Super Bowl caliber team. Is that crazy? I don't think so, but maybe Sam Darnold's just having his Geno Smith season. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's the case. But the Vikings currently are a really good football team. That offensive line, really, really good. The run game has been very good for the Vikings. You had Aaron Jones go for 102 in this game. Hot tamale, 73 after contact. Hey, man, as long as Aaron Jones stays healthy, that's kind of the thing, man. Can Aaron Jones stay healthy? But, dude, Sam Darnold's cooking, man. He's cooking. He's playing within the offense. He had 4 tutties this game. I don't know, man. I don't know. Part of me is just kind of waiting for this thing to, like, fall off the tracks. And maybe it just won't. Maybe it won't. I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe I just need to get behind the Vikings more. I should, man. Brian Flores, former Dolphins coach. Fins up, baby. Fins up. I love Brian Flores, but we'll see, man. We'll see. All right, we got the Eagles. They beat the Saints 15-12 on a go-ahead what was it, like a 67-yard, 63-yard touchdown run by Saquon Barkley. If you had him in fantasy, you were a happy boy. But the Eagles probably should have won by more. Really, the Saints' defense and special teams kind of bailed them out into making this a close game. You had like the interception in the end zone. You had, or in the red zone, you had the blocked punt. You had a turnover on downs late in the game. So, like, the defense was coming up big, man. It was coming up big. And the offense just couldn't get going. And to be fair, I think a lot of that was dictated because Eric McCoy got hurt after like 3 snaps. And the run game just wasn't as good. The Saints weren't able to hit those deep shots. Rashid Shaheed targeted 5 times, 0 catches. If you had him in fantasy, you were devastated. You were devastated. But if you had Juwan Jennings, kind of made up for it. Just saying, maybe that was a scenario I had going. But yeah, like the Saints offense, they kind of met their match when they couldn't get the run game going, when they couldn't hit the deep pass. Things just weren't ideal for Derek Carr and this offense to keep moving. I mean, they were able to put together a scoring drive when it mattered to go up for their go-ahead score, but Eagles able to get the thing done. And keep in mind, this was an Eagles team that came in, no A.J. Brown. And then what happens? Devontae Smith goes down. Lane Johnson goes down. Mekhi Becton goes down really early in the game. Fortunately, they got some good depth, apparently, because Tyler Steen had a wonderful game. Good for him. Who ended up playing right tackle for the Eagles? Who stepped in? Let's see. It was, oh yeah, Fred Johnson, dude. Fred Johnson, by the way, freaking legend. I liked him. He had some, he had games where he had to step in for the Bengals and was relatively solid. I think he's one of the better backups in the league. It's nice to see him come in and have a relatively solid game. Relatively solid. Was he perfect in pass protection? Hell no. But this team ran the football and they ran it hella good. Dallas Goedert stepped up, was like, oh, no Devontae Smith, no A.J. Brown. Is Jahan Dotson going to be that guy? Nah, doesn't need to. Dallas Goedert goes off for like 170. Freaking insane. So, good win by the Eagles. Honestly, and again, this game probably should have been won by a larger margin. The Saints just weren't feeling it on offense. The Eric McCoy hit honestly ended up being pretty big because that allowed Jalen Carter just to wreak havoc, dude. Jalen Carter had his best game of the year. So Good for the Eagles. They moved to 2-1. Saints dropped to 2-1. Los Angeles Chargers, they end up falling to the Pittsburgh Steelers like many have this year. 20-10. Justin Fields looked really good in this game. Is he playing perfect? Hell no, but he's not putting the ball in harm's way. Is he missing potential big plays? Yes, but he's playing well enough. And I mean, dude, the Steelers defense is just nuts. Especially when you have a hobbled Justin Herbert, who ended up having to leave the game. You had both your starting tackles leave the game. Joe Alt, he's going to miss time with, I think it's an MCL sprain. Sean Slater left the game. So, like, they were up 10-7 heading into halftime. And then Herbert goes down. The chances of this team winning go down. They go out the window. I don't know what the long-term ramifications of that's going to be because, again, he's re-aggravated the ankle injury, the foot injury, because it was a Liz Frank. I think it was a Liz Frank injury over the summer, right? Maybe it was like plantar. Hold on. I got it right here. Plantar fasciitis. I don't know, man. I'm not a doctor. These words are over my head. But he did ended up last week getting the high ankle sprain, re-aggravated. I believe it was the ankle. So that's something to monitor, man. We saw what that did to Trevor Lawrence last year. But, I mean, Trevor Lawrence also had a plethora of other injuries going on during that late year stretch. But you got to wonder, man, how competent is this offense going to be? They can't just win strictly with their defense. So, I mean, we'll see with the Chargers. But good win for the Steelers. Justin Fields is looking better and better every week. Fortunately, no Troy Fautanu. He's out for the rest of the year with a knee injury. They weren't specific about it, but with a knee injury, that sucks. But I do want to give a shout out to my boy, Mason McCormick, who stepped in and looked good this game. Just saying, dude. I think he should have been a top 50 pick. I was a big Mason McCormick guy. Surprise of the day right here. The Denver Broncos beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 26-7. And Baker, the offense, just could never get going. And I feel like part of that was on... Well, first you have Justin Skoll still playing right tackle there. Ben Breedson is just not a good starter. He's just not. He got victimized this game. And that forced Baker to have to create. And unfortunately, he just was unable to in this game. Outside of the Chris Godwin touchdown, this offense just wasn't able to do much. Zach Allen just kind of had a bonkers game in terms of pressures. I think he had like 7-8 pressures in this game. Let's pull it up real quick. He ended up having only 5 pressures, but 2 sacks. Okay. But yeah, 29 pressures for the Broncos. Yeah, man, that's it's a rough day at the office for Baker. You could look in the backfield and for the Bucks and be like, yeah, this should kind of be like Bucky Irvin. Like Bucky Irvin is just a much more competent back at this juncture. Like Rashad White, we always talk about just the vision, his vision coming out of Arizona State wasn't ideal, but he was someone that was really good in the passing game and got a lot of volume. And now they're starting to, honestly, they're probably moving towards Bucky Irvin. To be fair, they were in a negative game script, but Bucky Irvin, pop off. 9 carries, 70 yards. Let's go. He had 14 receiving yards. Hell yeah. I guess we should talk about Bo Nix getting his first win of the year. And, I mean, the dude looked good. He looked good. He had 2 big-time throws. I know he had no touchdowns, but still had a completion rate of an adjusted completion rate. Remember, that takes out spikes, throwaways, drops by the receivers. Not to say that there were many drops in the game. There were actually none. by the pass catchers for the Broncos. But ended up having an adjusted completion percentage of 78.1%. Hell yeah, that's good. That's where you want to see it at. If you're like, hey man, how's my quarterback doing? Is he doing really good? Then yeah, you wanted to be at that 78%. When it came to his like depth of target, like this dude is actually throwing downfield really well. Like, yeah, I'm still concerned the intermediate level of the field kind of sucks. He went 2 for 5, but he was able to hit the deep shots. He ends up going 2 or 3 for 53 yards on passes of 20 yards or more. So you like that. You want him to be. I really want to see him level out on that intermediate part of the field, though. I really do, because I do think he's got the accuracy for it, man. It might just be a timing thing. But he also did it with his feet, by the way. Fun fact, if you didn't know, now you know. 47 yards and a tutty. So Bo Nix played one hell of a game. Defense played a really good game as well. So, yeah, they come in here and surprise the Bucks at Raymond James. Kind of nuts. All right, this, not the surprise of the week. Just saying, once we knew Andy Dalton was a starter, we're like, all right, we're going to see a different type of Panthers team. Somebody should have told the Raiders, because now the Raiders aren't in just free fall. This was an ugly game. The Panthers got up real early and never let up. Let up at the end of the game there, but it didn't matter. They win 36-22. Andy Dalton going out and showing, hey, we have the players on offense. We got the playmakers. We have the pass protection. This is a good offense. And this is honestly, I think, good for Bryce Young to see, oh, okay, no, this offense is good. I was the problem. Yo, stop. I don't want to go in on my boy Bryce Young like that, but it's true. But I think it's good to see. It's like, oh no, this offense can function. There's a lot I need to work on here, and hopefully, and I'm hoping that they're just not out on him yet. I really hope they're not out on Bryce Young yet. You need to work that kid's confidence back up. Go under the tutelage of Andy Dalton. Things sucked last year under Frank Reich. Canals, do your magic. You are the quarterback whisperer. Then whisper to your young quarterback. Get his confidence back. And I think, honestly, as Andy Dalton, hey, you're going to keep him in, right? As this offense continues to function well, it's not always going to look like this every week, because this was good. Like, Chuba Hubbard had a huge day. Dante Johnson had a huge day. The pass protection, the run block, the offensive line looked goated, looked really good in this game. And it's not going to look like this every week, but if you could establish, even if like the average is just a little bit under from what it was today, like, you're like, okay, Bryce Young, you could function in this offense, dude. You could function. We gotta fix you. Because honestly, a lot of the things he did well as a prospect, he has not done well in the NFL. So I think this is good for him. I think Andy Dalton, this offense is going to continue to look good. May not look as good as it did today, as it did yesterday every week, because they're going to take on, honestly, a not great Bengals defense next week. Red Rifle revenge game. I'm here for it. But I think probably the bigger talking point here is the Raiders. It might not be the bigger talking point, but it's the one with the most drama. Oh, because now we got a quarterback battle between Uncle Rico and Aiden O'Connell. We have Antonio Pierce coming out and saying some guys were going into business for themselves. Like, is this suddenly a bad situation in Las Vegas? I don't know, man. Again, it was cryptic. I don't know too much of what he meant by that. A lot of people are kind of pointing the fingers to Oh man, Devontae Adams. Where they're gonna move him? Maybe they do. I don't know. We'll see. But continues another thing with his team that's just again the run game's obsolete at this point. It might as well not exist. So no kidding, you're gonna struggle from a passing game standpoint. To be fair, Gardner Minshew I didn't think was all that bad. He ends up having a adjusted completion rate of 70%. Yeah, that's a little low, is what it is. Threw for a touchdown, had an interception, 214 yards. Andrew O'Connell honestly came in and it didn't look too much different. He didn't. Like, you probably want to roll with Andrew O'Connell. I mean, if you were going to pull Gardner Minshew, you might as well roll with O'Connell next week. They also had, I think, DJ Glaze. Like, if we're going to talk about the one bright spot in this game, DJ Glaze had to step in. There, Mumford, I think, got hurt early on or something. But Glaze looked good. He looked good. Was it perfect? No. I mean, there were some rookie moments, but he looked good. Can't wait for Jackson Powers Johnson to freaking play. I might as well hold my breath. Defensively, it was legitimately Max Crosby. That was it. Max Crosby was the only means to get pressure. No one else was really doing it. Maybe Christian Watkins came in on a few pressures here and there, but outside of that, they weren't able to hit home. Malcolm Kuntz, they miss you. Please come back. He's currently on IR. You have Jack Jones probably had his worst game in a Raiders uniform. I think he allowed maybe 2 tutties in this game. See, I'm trying to just remember, but sometimes I just talk. Yeah, no, he allowed 2 tutties. 4 receptions for 48 yards and 2 tutties. You had Marcus Epps. He ends up going down, tears his ACL. He's out for the year. So Kuntz is gone for the season. That's rough. I thought it was just like a 4 to 8 weeks on the IR. That's rough. Raiders. No, this is bad. This is bad for the Raiders. This is probably a sign of things to come then. I don't know if Antonio Pierce will be able to rally the team like he did last year. And you got to imagine that the morale is not too high right now in Las Vegas. All right, we're going to talk about this next game briefly because I'm a Dolphins fan and this one hurt. But I already knew it was going to hurt. I'm not surprised by the pain. Dolphins lose to the Seahawks 24-3. Skylar Thompson didn't play particularly well. But to be fair, the offensive line didn't block particularly well. Kind of was what it was. It is what it is. I already knew that there was going to be some significant struggles offensively. I'm very big on, hey, get Tyler Huntley in there. Again, you don't know when or if Tua will return at any point this year. So let's get Tyler Huntley, someone who was able to help the Ravens to the playoffs in 2022 after Lamar Jackson went down. He's a good fit for this offense, I think, schematically. So put him in. Let's put a veteran presence in there. For goodness sake, Tim Boyle. Like, the Dolphins first-handed saw how good Tim Boyle was last year. What is he doing playing in this game? Golly, dude. Golly. But yeah, the defense wasn't nearly that great, but to be fair, the offense didn't put them in advantageous positions. But good on the Seahawks, man. Seahawks, the run game looked good with Zach Charbonnet. Charbonnet kind of needed this game because it was feeling like, oh man, he's not the runner we thought I thought he was coming out of UCLA. But this was a good game for Charbonnet. The passing game's freaking phenomenal, dude. Geno's cooking. I know Geno had didn't he have 2 interceptions? I think only one was actually his fault. But the passing game's cooking. Passing game is legitimately cooking. So you love to see it. And defensively, this is why I knew the Dolphins offense was going to be bad. Because the Seahawks defense is freaking scary as hell. You had Derek Hall have his breakout game. after being a second-round pick out of Auburn, not this past draft, but the draft before, has done nothing since getting drafted. Comes out, has like 6 pressures, 2 sacks. Golly, man. Yeah, Mike McDonald, defense, scary defense. But that's all I really want to talk about this game, man. That's all I really want to say about this. Ravens beat the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium 28-25, but not nearly as close as you may think. As the Ravens ran away with this game early, they were up 21-6 at halftime. They were up 28-6 entering the fourth quarter. And then, holy moly, the Cowboys just suddenly were like, okay, well, Dak, just throw to your heart's content. Get us back in this game. Now, some people are going to look at like 3 turnover-worthy plays for Dak. Be like, oh, he had a bad game. Well, when you're down by like 22, you're going to have to sling the football. And you know what? That got them back in the game. I mean, ultimately, they didn't come back. But, I mean, dude, Dak was out there slinging it, and that's honestly when the team looked its best. Defensively, the run defense is a problem. Mozzie Smith is a problem in the worst way. Man's getting washed out of the run game, and that was something that, like, coming out of Michigan, shouldn't have been the case. He was a girthy boy with a lot of play strength. I don't understand. I'm curious what his playing weight is now, and because I know last year he ended up dropping weight, which you could make an argument led to some of the play strength, or at least functional play strength issues. Maybe just, oh, I don't have the sand in the pants that I once did. But it's not looking good this year. Jordan Phillips, I think, is out for the year, or at least he's on IR. So, yeah, like, Derrick Henry just feasted in this game. Final score makes it look closer than it ever was. Again, Cowboys, they ended up getting an onside kick with like 9 minutes left. They go on drive to make it I believe at that point they ended up making it it was 28-19 after that. They ended up getting another touchdown, fail on the 2-point conversion, I believe. I don't know. I can't recall. When you watch so many of these games, it's like, ugh. But regardless, the Cowboys didn't look good in this game. The run game doesn't exist for the Cowboys. It just kind of is what it is. Are they a bad team? I don't think they're a bad team. I think they're currently a mediocre team right now. But they have enough talent on that team to turn it around. So I'm not out on the Cowboys. Ravens, they needed this win. You don't want to start the season 0-3. We'll talk about the Bengals later. The 49ers, what the hell happened here, man? The 49ers looked like they were having a hell of a game, and then Matthew Stafford was like, you know what? Screw this. And leads the comeback, and the Rams end up winning 27-24. Absolutely nutty. Now, the Niners had some gaffes in this game. You had Jake Moody missing a field goal. You had Ronnie Bell dropping a deep pass from Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was like, cool, there's only one guy I can trust, and his name is Jawan Jennings, who had like 11 receptions for like 130-some yards, 3 touchdowns, went off in fantasy. If you had him, I had him. Because I lost Cooper Kupp, though. But, yeah, let's see here. 75 yards. I said 37. 175 yards. Brandon Ayuk also contributed. He had 5 receptions for 48 yards, but nonetheless, like, you also had a pass interference. That was probably a bad call on Devondre Campbell. So they had a few gaffes in the second half, and you had a lot of things break the Rams' way. You had a really good punt return by Xavier Smith. You had Tutu Atwell with the huge 53, I think it was a 53-yard reception. Kyron Williams, hey, I get it. The offensive line is not playing spectacular. So if I can't do it on the ground, I'll do it through the air. He did it through the air. And low-key, Don't sleep on this Rams defensive line. They got pressure all over the place. Whether it was Byron Young, Jared Verse, Kobe Turner, Braden Fisk had himself a game. Dude, they were getting immense pressure. Brock Purdy, though, handled it pretty darn well. Just at the end of the day, man, Rams were able to sneak this one away. And I mean, keep in mind, the Niners had some big injuries. Debo, CMC, George Kittle didn't play in this game. Even defensively with like Hufanga, he was out for this game. They lost Javon Hargrave. Not just this game, but I think he's gone for the year. So like they took some big hits in this game. They certainly did. But good win by the Rams, man. Good win. The Detroit Lions, they beat the Arizona Cardinals 20-13. Cardinals. This looked like it was going to be a shootout early on. You had the Marvin Harrison touchdown to start the game. The Lions were moving. They were driving. They had the nice little hook and ladder. I think that was like right before the half. Yeah. The hook and ladder play was right before the half. Oh, gosh. Let's talk about this real quick. So, you had, and I don't know how to feel about this. So, Mac Wilson had a pick 6 on Jared Goff, but the referees called it dead because it was the 2-minute warning. The game clock that we saw on the broadcast still had it with 1 second left. I don't know what the clock looked like in the stadium. Sounded like Cardinals fans weren't happy about it. But again, you got that bias there. You're there rooting for the Cardinals. So, again, I'm just going to... I don't know what to say about that, but it was kind of a big momentum swing. Because then the Lions drive down. They get the hook and ladder. Beautiful toss by sneaking Monroe St. Brown. In that San Francisco game, I didn't even talk about the big lateral play that, honestly, the Niners almost got a touchdown on that. Like, Jawan Jennings, I think it was Jake Brindle, who just missed, either it was Ayuk or Jennings, because both were in the area, missed one of those guys on the toss. Monroe St. Brown, perfect toss here for Jahmyr Gibbs. By the way, when did pitchy woo-woo become a thing? Have I been under a rock? Has that always been what people refer to, like, oh, it's lateral time, it's time to throw all these laterals and hopefully you get it. I've never heard pitchy woo-woo until that broadcast. I was like, what the hell? What is this baby talk? Oh, you want a little pitchy woo-woo? Little pitchy woo-woo? Never heard that crap in my life. What the hell? I regress. Let's go back to the Cardinals and the Lions. And ultimately, the Cardinals couldn't get anything going in the second half. It just Kyler Murray wasn't the same Kyler Murray from a week ago, to be fair. That was kind of that's an insane performance against the Rams. But yeah, no, like the run game couldn't get going. The Lions did lose Marcus Davenport for the rest of the year in this game, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, the Lions did enough. They let the run game just take them home. Country road. I guess it's 8 Mile, but yeah, no, like the Cardinals are a team that are going to have to win shootouts. Like, the defense was feisty, but in the second half, like they were constantly losing in the trenches. Like, their best player on that interior is right now Roy Lopez. So, like, this was a good game for the Cardinals, but you're going to need that offense to show up if you're going to win these type of games, especially when the defense is playing fine enough. And then we had the Sunday night game. The Chiefs beat the Falcons 22-17. Carson Steele making the start here at running back. Love to see it. Ends up doing a solid job, having a very solid game. Fun fact, Patrick Mahomes, not a solid game. He was relatively inaccurate in this game. But they were able to get it done. I mean, honestly, when he was targeting anyone that wasn't named Ray Rice, it was kind of inaccurate. I know, it's you're gonna go back and look. It's like, well, I mean, he had a 75% adjusted completion percentage. I mean, I feel like it was kind of inflated. Like he had a bad red zone interception. Justin Simmons is like, hey, you remember me, Mahomes? You remember me? Just because I'm not in the AFC West doesn't mean you don't get to see me anymore. It's nice. It was nice seeing you again. When it came to, but I mean, the offense does enough. I mean, that's kind of the story of the Chiefs in the regular season. They do enough to win games. The defense played really well. Fun fact. They were able to shut down the run. Bijan literally couldn't get anything going in this game. I think the Falcons lost Caleb Gary relatively early in this game, so Storm Norton had to step in. But Chris Jones had himself a field day because it's Chris Jones. But the defense played really well. I think, is it Kamani Connor? The former Virginia Tech defensive back. Yeah, he had a pass breakup and an interception in this game. He's been playing great football. They found a legit player in freaking Kamari Connor, dude. Good on him, man. Good on him. Straight up legit. But Kirk Cousins honestly played relatively well. And this game came down to that fourth down where they come out in like a split back set. Kirk Cousins is under center. And the Falcons offensive line just couldn't win. Like the Falcons offensive line just wasn't impressive this game. And I think I said this in week 1 where I was like, oh, wow, right now this looks like only stinking Jake Matthews and Chris Lindstrom are the only good players on this line. Though, to be fair, with Caleb McGarry, you kind of know, like, yeah, okay, he's a pass protector second. He's just a really good run blocker. But, yeah, he ends up coming out of this game. I think also Drew Dahlman ends up leaving this game too. But so it's like you're dealing with two backup players there at center and at right tackle. And they got mollywopped. Dude, even freaking poor Chris Lindstrom got mollywopped on that fourth down play. They lost the game in the trenches. And it was just kind of a wild thing to see because, like, I thought this offensive line was really good coming into the year. And again, to be fair, they had two backup players there for a majority of the game. But still, I don't know. Let's wait and see. But the offensive line has had more struggles this year than I anticipated for the Falcons. Steve Spagnuolo, you are him. You are him. Let's go to Monday night. I'm not going to be talking about this Bills-Jaguars game for long. For one, I'm a Dolphins fan. It is what it is. I don't want to talk about the Bills and their success. But they win 47-10. There's really not much to say here for the Bills. Like, Gregory Rousseau looks like a superstar. Cool. Love to hear that. Love to hear that with the Dolphins' offensive line deficiencies. Josh Allen's like, hey, we can literally throw the ball to anyone. We don't need that alpha because we got a ton of guys that just clock in, clock out, do their job hella well. Yeah, they were really good. I mean, still though, James, like, I don't think I can say it enough. James Cook is a big focal point for the offense here. And it's not just like in the rushing game. Like, he was relatively quiet in the run game. Like, he had a tutty, but 11 carries for 39 yards. Okay, kind of is what it is. But looking at the receiving, dude, he had, 4 receptions? Yeah, 4 receptions for 48 yards. He has been very active as a receiver. Very active as a receiver out of the backfield. But Kincaid had a tutty. Yeah, ended up having 3 receptions. Khalil Shakir had a tutty on 6 receptions. Ty Johnson, that's right, the backup running back, 3 receptions, had a tutty. Keon Coleman, only 1 reception, went for a 24-yard touchdown. They're passing to everyone. You had, count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different receivers catch balls in this game. Yeah, the Bills are Super Bowl contenders. There, I said it. I freaking hate myself. Yeah, no, things are bad in Jacksonville. Oh my gosh. Like, Trevor Lawrence didn't have a particularly good game. He had a bad interception over the middle of the field. Brian Thomas had a not particularly great game. He had 2 bad drops. The offensive line, honestly, Anton Harrison played pretty solid, but it was like Cam Robinson was a problem. That was a majority of where Gregory Rousseau was winning the snap. But even defensively, like, you're down Tyson Campbell. Yeah, secondary don't look so hot. Ronald Darby. Let's take a look at where they were giving up specifically yards here. As Ronald Darby, honestly, Ronald Darby didn't have a bad game. It was mainly you were looking at guys like Montreric Brown, who was started on the outside there. He allowed one of the touchdowns. Devin Lloyd in coverage did allow a touchdown. He'll have better days. It is what it is. When everything around you sucks, it tends to rub off. I mean, dude, even Josh Hines Allen only had 1 pressure in this game. Kind of rough. But I don't know how the Jags rebound, man. I just don't. Things feel bad. Feels like Doug Peterson's on the hot seat. Feels like Trevor Lawrence is going to get a new head coach after this season. Or if they continue to lose, maybe he won't be the coach through this year. You know what I want to see? Actually, okay, I don't want to say I want to see this. I don't want to see anyone fired. Hopefully Doug Peterson gets it together. But, and this is tough to say because his defense hasn't been good this year, but also there's a lot of things not going well for the Jags. Maybe they do can Doug Peterson, which then you have to can Press Taylor. Ryan Nielsen, have him be the interim head coach. Find a way to keep him because I think he's a great defensive mind. And just there's a couple of unfortunate injuries there in the, particularly Tyson Campbell, but also when your freaking offense can't do nothing and you're just constantly put into bad positions, you're constantly put on the field. Yeah, there's some struggles there. So, like, Ryan Nielsen, I think he'll be good going forward, and I hope he doesn't get lost in this just nonsense that is currently the Jags. But let's talk about the final game, because this might have been. I mean, there were a lot of good games this weekend, but this was a great way to end the weekend, or end week 3. Commanders beat the Bengals 38-33. The Bengals are now 0-3. And I'm not out on the Bengals, straight up. I'm not. If you're out on the Bengals, I think you're crazy. You could say, yeah, the Bengals don't look particularly good, but you can't be out on the Bengals. We've seen this team, when they need wins to make the playoffs, they get wins to make the playoffs. At least when Joe Burrow's healthy. Last year was kind of asterisk. It was other things going on there, but which still they ended up winning 9 games with everything that went on last year. But I'm not sleeping on the Bengals. Like, if you think they're not playoff contenders, I think you're crazy. Oh, but they're 0-3. It's an uphill battle. Yes, I have seen this team struggle and be really hot by the end of the season. We see the Bills do it almost every year too. Last year, the Bills, they were on the outside looking in when it came to the playoffs. And then they get really hot down the stretch. To me, the Bills and the Bengals are 2 teams where, like, if they're taking L's, they're losing, you don't sleep on them because I think they're going to clap back. So don't sleep on the Bengals. It's It's unfortunate. Don't get me wrong. It's unfortunate. But, yeah. I mean, let's quickly talk about the Bengals then. Offensively, this was a good game. Amarius Smith played his first game. There were some really good snaps in there. There were some snaps where he looked like a rookie, is what it is. It was his first start. Defensively, you're worried about this team's ability to stop the run because they were missing guys like Sheldon Rankins. To be fair, more pass rusher than actual run defender. I don't recall if PJ Hill played in this game. I know he was entering the game with a hamstring injury. Yeah, did not play this game. Chris Jenkins did make his first start here. And honestly, Jenkins kind of made part of the difference, as this team was much better at defending the run. But golly, they cannot rush the passer worth crap. If your name isn't Trey freaking Hendrickson, then you are struggling to get pressure. And this team in general struggled to get pressure. And that put a lot, and I mean a lot, of tension on your young cornerback room to go out there and win on islands, because that's what Coach Lou is doing defensively. He's asking his guys to win on islands. And it did not work out. Cam Taylor-Britt didn't have a great game. He allowed that big reception for 55 yards. Yeah, Daxton Hill allowed a tutty, allowed 43 yards in coverage. I'm trying to remember who the big touchdown was on that McLaurin was covering. Was it Cam Taylor-Britt? It might have been Cam Taylor-Britt. It might have been. I don't know. Regardless, like, you're asking a lot. If you're unable to get pressure and you're asking your corners to go out there and play on islands for 5 to 7 seconds, this thing ain't going to work. Something's got to change defensively, because it's not working. It's not working. They made Jaden Daniels go out there and look like a freaking superstar. Not to say he is not. This was a very good game by Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels, muy bien. He got it done through the air, dude. Him and Terry McLaurin was like, oh, Terry McLaurin's just sitting there like, thank goodness, man. Someone could actually throw me the freaking football. Thank freaking goodness. Now, defensively for the Washington, yeah, it's kind of dire straits. They did enough, which isn't saying much. I mean, neither team, I think, punted in this game. But, like, with the state of this defense, the offense is going to have to win shootouts. They're more than capable of doing that. Jaden Daniels finally got the deep ball going. Matter of fact, let's just go ahead, pull up the stats as on passes of 20 yards or more, 2 for 4 for 82 yards. Freaking nuts. Here's the thing. He's completed on the intermediate. He was 4 for 4 on intermediate passes. And you freaking love to see it. Under pressure? Haha. Barely under pressure was Jaden Daniels. Fun fact. You want to know how often he was under pressure? 11 times in this game. Sure, it amounted to what? All of just 35% of his dropbacks. For the most part, he was kept clean in this game. They didn't need the run game to be good. Good on them. They didn't need it. Freaking solid. You love to see it. You love to see it, but we're at that point. We're at that juncture where it's time to do some freaking power rankings. That's right. Let's get everyone to hate me and my takes. And let's do some power rankings. All right, let's move this sucker over here. Let me just get y'all on my pretty face. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful face. But week 3 has come and it is gone. And there was a lot of surprising, a lot of surprising outcomes. And we're going to talk about all of those today, as I got power rankings. And I guess I should probably go over how we do power rankings because it's certainly we do it in tiers. I feel like that's the easiest way to do it because you're gonna get a good feel of where your team is trending. And I got 6 tiers here. We got bottom of the league, so that's just your teams that are bad, long shots, teams that are bad, but they give you enough hope to maybe they could be in that playoff race. Above that, I have a could be but unlikely tier, teams that are I would say middle of the road, but have a shot to be in the playoff race and the playoffs in general. And then playoff contenders. People confuse this tier for teams that I think are playoff teams. That's not the case. These are teams that I think are going to be in the playoff chase that might end up making the playoffs, but it doesn't mean that I think they are playoff teams because I have a tier above that are playoff caliber teams. Teams that I'm like, you know what? Yeah, these teams are 98.9% to make the playoffs. And then, of course, your legit Super Bowl contenders. Let's go ahead, get into this sucker. Of course, we got to start with the bottom, which means we're going to start with, I'm actually going to put the New England Patriots here at 32. And I think that's a fair spot to have them. Listen, it wasn't good. It was pretty ugly on Thursday night. Unless this team can effectively run the football, there's nothing going to be happening for the offense, which will put stress on the defense. Just sit Drake May until you feel confident enough in that offensive line. That's kind of the problem. Not a lot of confidence in the offensive line, but they are here at 32. To be fair, man, this week made it tough on where I should rank teams. So a lot of this is a little bit of future projection on my part. I got to put the Tennessee Titans in this tier. Will Levis continues. Each week he has that one Will Levis moment. You saw in week 1, it was the little flick to the outside that turned into a pick 6. Week 2, it was him scrambling, stumbling and bumbling, jumping over his left tackle and then tossing it to his running back, falling short. It ends up being called a strip sack. And this was in the red zone. This week, he essentially stared down D-Hop. And Jair Alexander was staring Will Levis right back in his eyes like, there ain't no way he's going this way. He was going that way. Like, dude, Jair Alexander is giving you inside shade. He wants to jump something. So you got this like 4, 5, 6, 7 yard hook route. Jair jumps it for a pick 6. It wasn't a pretty week. They also lost Chidobe Awuzie for a few weeks in this game. The run game couldn't get started, and they were playing from a negative game script basically to start the game, so they kind of abandoned the run in general. The offensive line, Nicholas Petit-Frere isn't playing well. Doesn't really play well in general, so yeah, the Titans are kind of in a tough spot. Above the Titans, I'm going to put the Denver Broncos. Kind of feels dirty after getting a big win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To be fair, Buccaneers offensive line, well, at least right tackle, that's beat up. Ben Breedson at left guard isn't good. So, like, the Broncos were able to get a lot of pressure early on, but this was the best Bo Nix game of the season thus far. You'll love to see it, but still it's hard to believe in this team being anything other than a bottom of the league team as it stands right now. But hey, we shall see. Good win though. Good win against the Bucs at Raymond James. All right, I'm gonna put the New York Giants here. The defense looked much better this week. Freaking Shane Bowen, hello. Suddenly you like blitzing? Okay, I see you, bro. But the defense played really well. You thought early in this game because they fumbled the kickoff, Browns went down, scored. After that, you thought maybe this was going to be a bad game for the Giants. They were able to bounce back and win this game. A lot of this was Danny Dimes dumping it off to Wandale and Malik Neighbors. I think combined, they had 9 forced missed tackles. So it was essentially just get the ball in the hands of your playmakers and let them make plays. Not to say Danny Dimes didn't have any good throws in this game, but This was a game script for Danny Dimes that I've seen much in the past, just saying. But yeah, good win for the Giants. Really, really, really was. But I don't know, man. Maybe they end up being a serious team this year. Maybe I'm just wrong about them. Maybe I'm just wrong. Right above the Giants, I'm gonna have the Las Vegas Raiders. Why does it feel like things are just coming off at the seams for the Raiders? Like, you got a quarterback battle now happening. To be fair, like, I think Gardner Minshew's play kind of warranted. Like, maybe you do want to see what Aiden O'Connell can do for you. And to be fair, when he came in, it wasn't radically different from what we saw with Gardner Minshew. The run game doesn't exist. Hey, DJ Glaze came in, had a good day. That's encouraging. Can't wait for Jackson Powers Johnson to play. Can't wait for him to make his debut. Defensively, though, Max Crosby, only man getting pressure. Kind of rough. Jack Jones, he kind of had a down day at the office. You lost Marcus Epps for the year. That sucks. And now after the game, Antonio Pierce. Yeah, some guys went into business for themselves in this game. And we're going to remove those guys. Like, okay. What the hell does that mean? Why does it suddenly feel like this team's in free fall? It's kind of scary. I do have one more team here, and it is going to be the Carolina Panthers. Listen, great win. Dominant win over the Raiders. Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, is back. This next week, it's going to be the Red Rifle revenge game against the Cincinnati Bengals. A must win for the Bengals, if I'm going to be honest. But everything offensively operated so much smoothly, so much more smooth, I should say. Even the defense played well. But you got to imagine that, not saying this was an outlier, but that this was, okay, this is the best that this team probably can look. I think it's fair to expect some regression as they take on better opponents. Not to say that this offense won't look good, but I don't expect it to look like this every week. But good win by the Panthers. All right, we're going to move up to this long shot tier. Again, teams that I think just have teams that I just don't think have a great shot of making the playoffs, which we got to talk about the Jags. Because this is a team with talent. This is a team that can beat good teams, at least in theory. But that was an ugly loss. You lose 47-10 to the Bills. You were never in the game. Trevor Lawrence didn't look good. Brian Thomas had a couple of bad drops. Cam Robinson was bad on the offensive line. The defense was not great. To be fair, like, this was no Tyson Campbell. Met that the secondary was vulnerable, and vulnerable they were. So, like, right now, man, Jaguars are trending in a direction where it's like, I think they might fire Doug Peterson. I think that might actually happen now. Above them, I'm going to have the Chicago Bears. So, the Bears, great defense, though the run defense this week was a bit susceptible. To be fair, when you're facing Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor, I think that might be to be expected. However, Caleb Williams, man, he just can't rest easy. Like, he starts the game off as relatively well, but then as the run game continues to not exist because, well, the run blocking isn't good, this game slowly devolves into chaos where Caleb has to turn to his USC days and tries to create something from nothing. So now you've become a one-dimensional offense that can't effectively run block and even pass block in some degrees. So it's like, until the offense has some sort of show some sort of consistency, or just that they can just function within, like, the game script and within structure. Like, again, there's just too much chaos happening offensively for the squad for me to really buy into them. But they got a really good defense. They really do. Right above the Bears, I'm going to have the Los Angeles Chargers. A lot of this has to do with, okay, you're going to be missing Joe Alt for a few weeks with the MCL sprain. What's Justin Herbert going to be like? He's basically working with a bum foot. He had the plantar ischiatus, blah, 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 on his foot this offseason. Then you had the high ankle sprain last week, re-aggravated the high ankle sprain. Like, I don't know if we're going to see Justin Herbert ever 100% this season. That worries me. So I think I have a right to be worried, to be concerned. Right above the Los Angeles Chargers, coming in at 23 in my power rankings, is my Miami Dolphins. Fins up, baby. Fins up. Likewise, Tua. I don't know when he comes back this year. But Skylar Thompson can't be it. To be fair, not a lot was his fault. Well, okay, it's not like his play was good, but neither was the play of the offensive line. And also, Seattle Seahawks defense, scary. It's terrifying. Even Derek Hall was getting pressures against us. But I think if this team's going to have a shot to float this boat, then it's Tyler Huntley. Tyler Huntley's a guy that he helped lead the Ravens to the playoffs in 2022 when Lamar Jackson went down. He's a veteran. At least he's more veteran than what we currently got on the roster. And am I saying he could come in and be the savior? No. But he might be able to come in and stabilize this offense. Hopefully. But again, we're trending in the wrong direction, unfortunately. And then the final team in this tier is the Cleveland Browns. Probably a lot higher than they should be, admittedly. I just really believe in this defense. Even if they're banged up, I still believe in this defense. It's a very good defense. The question is, what the hell with the offense? You're playing with 2 backup tackles. I get it. Now Wyatt Teller goes down. That sucks. Deshaun Watson, at some point, you got to think. You got to think he'll at least play okay. Because it's been really bad. He's missing throws. He's holding on to the ball for way too long. Like, it's not good. It's not good. I really thought about putting him down here or putting him down here. But that defense is so good. Honestly, in my opinion, it's the best defense among these teams here. But that means a whole lot of Jack Diddley squat if they can't do nothing on offense. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm just holding on to what little hope of them turning around. And I'm telling you, it's little hope. Let's move on to this could be but unlikely. Teams that I think can vie for the playoffs, that can get into that playoff chase, but I don't particularly feel good about it. We're going to start with the Rams. Listen, the Rams are hurt. They're beat up. They got a great win against the Niners this week. They got a great win. They hit big plays, whether it was the punt return from Xavier Smith or the 53-yarder from Tutu Atwell. Great. Kyron Williams was like, hey, if I can't get it done in the running game because, well, offensive line, they're in the IU, then, hey, pass it to me. I think he had didn't he have 2 receiving touchdowns? Maybe he just had 1 receiving touchdown this game. I know he had 3 total touchdowns in this game, but good win for the Rams. I still don't believe particularly in their cornerback room right now, though Trey White had an okay game. But that front 4 for the Rams is terrifying. Braden Fisk went off this game. Kobe Turner was great because he just is. He's probably quickly emerging as a top 10 interior player in the league. Verse, Byron Young, they all had good games here. At 20, I'm going to have the Washington Commanders. And listen, I just can't buy into the defense right now. I mean, you should. No team, I think, punted in the Monday night game. So, listen, you're going to have to win some shootouts. And with a rookie quarterback, you're not always going to win those. That's just a fact of the matter. I'm sorry. It is what it is. That's just a fact of the matter. But Jaden Daniels looked hella good last night. He was hitting. He's looked the best of any of the other rookie quarterbacks. And I do think they could win some of these shootouts. And listen, it's not always going to be on Jaden either. Like Brian Robinson's a really good running back. And last night, okay, they wasn't able to get the run game going, which was fine because the passing game was unstoppable. Good win by the Commanders. Above the Commanders, I'm going to have the Colts, but golly, man, this team feels like it could be sliding. Very similar to what I said with the Bears. This team's the offense, any pass and play for the Colts just feels like that it just goes into chaos and you're playing like backyard football. Like Anthony Richardson, he's not making necessarily the best decisions. He had the red zone interception against the Bears. He's not consistently accurate. And really, it was Jonathan Taylor that bailed this team out in that offensive line. Defensively, honestly, put up a better performance than I expected because they got some key parts hurt on that defense, but they played well. I don't know. We'll see going forward, man. We'll see going forward. But after that, just highest of highs in a loss in the season opener against the Texans, Richardson just hasn't been able to meet that expectation. To be fair, that was a pretty tough expectation to meet when you're going for over 200 yards on like all of 9 completions. And then I got one more team in this tier, and it's going to be the Arizona Cardinals. So that puts them at 18 on my power rankings. Defensively, this team's feisty, but I don't think they're good enough. I don't think they're good enough to win games. They got beat up in the trenches yesterday against Sunday against the Lions. But offensively, this team can win shootouts. But when your defense is playing as feisty as they were, you need to be able to put up points. They were unable to do that in the second half. So, they are a team capable of winning shootouts. But that does require you, to be in the shootout. And this team, the run game was kind of like nothing yesterday. Kyler Murray he had an okay game, but they really couldn't get it going in the second half, unfortunately. All right, let's move on to these guys called playoff contenders. Teams that are going to be in the playoff chase doesn't necessarily mean they're a playoff team. And we're going to start with the Dallas Cowboys. Of course, this is a mediocre team. The run game sucks. The run defense sucks. Like Dak, some people will be like, man, Dak, 3 turnover-worthy plays. He's not good. Ha, ha, ha. No, he's playing from behind in a negative game script where they can't rely on the run game. So, yeah, he had to make some dicey passes, but he got him back in the game. Did they deserve to be back in the game? No, but he got him back into the game. I think this team is better than what we've seen the last couple of weeks. And eventually, you would expect them to put it together. So, we shall see. The Atlanta Falcons, man, they've played every game pretty darn close this year. And unfortunately have come on the wrong side of that this past Sunday night as, hey, 4th down call. Was it a good call? Was it a good play call? That's up to you. But the offensive line got whooped. It did. Granted, you had a backup right tackle in there. You had a backup center in there. So it wasn't exactly ideal. But even Chris Lindstrom had his struggles in that game. And to be fair, Chris Jones does that to people. But I will say Kirk Cousins has looked better. He has. He's looked closer to what we expected him to be. So, not sold on them as playoff teams, but they're going to be in the playoff race. I really do believe that. And then here, I have the Cincinnati Bengals. And does this sound crazy? They're 0-3. And I got them here at 15 on my power rankings. The offense looked great last night. The defense, not so much. This team, finally, when they were able to stop the run, because now they have Chris Jenkins back, they couldn't rush the passer. They put their corners on islands for 5, 7 seconds, and that's just an impossible task to ask. So they got blown up in this game. This defense isn't good. They need to figure some things out. Coach Lou, you're going to be on. Coach Lou might be on his way out if this defense continues to play this way. But you don't sleep on the Bengals. You just don't. And I said this about the Bills last year. You might think they're down and out. But fun fact, they ain't down and out. They could get hot at the end of the season. We've seen it from the Bengals. When they needed to win games, they won games and made the playoffs. I'm not going to sleep on the Bengals. Now, if they lose to Andy Dalton and company, that doubt's going to surface. It's just going to surface. And they're going to drop significantly. Just going to put that out there. Right above them, I have the Seattle Seahawks. They're playing really good football. I love how the passing game has looked for this offense. Defensively, they're an exceptionally scary team. But I do want to see them play against a good team. The Dolphins, unfortunately, they're just not a good team right now. The Patriots, they're just not a good team. These aren't impressive wins. The Broncos, they're not a great team. Let's be honest, Seahawks haven't really faced great competition as of just yet. And again, this isn't an indictment on the Seahawks right now. It's not, because I do think they're a really good team. It's just I need something to really prove it, and they haven't had that competition yet, unfortunately. So I have them here at 14. At 13, I'm going to put the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're coming off a real down game. Things just didn't work in their favor. Right tackle Justin Skull, who's filling in for Luke Odecki, wasn't good. Starting left guard, Ben Breedson, never good. So, yeah, Baker had to create by himself, essentially, or had to create something from nothing because you're getting pressured so frequently. And that's just not going to be a winning formula. It wasn't in this game. They also had a lot of significant players hurt on defense. We're talking Antoine Winfield. You had Vita Vea. Kalijah Cansey, I still think, is out. So, they were missing some guys. So, I'm not going to reel back too much on the Bucs. I think they're still a very good team. And then last team I'm going to put in this tier is the Minnesota Vikings. And say it. Just say it. I'm asleep. I'm sleeping on the Vikings. I have trust issues when it comes to the quarterback position as a Dolphins fan. I don't know if I can trust Sam Darnold. Is he going to play like this the whole season? Because if that's the case, they're a playoff caliber team because this defense is freaking nuts. It's freaking nuts. So I have bumped the Vikings up. They're 12th currently in my power rankings, and I admittedly might be asleep on them. I'm willing to admit that. They keep winning games, I'm going to bump them up. Surely. So, Vikings fans, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm asleep on your team. But before we go to our playoff caliber teams, gotta give a shout out to today's sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. If you sign up using promo code BROSHMO, they match that first deposit up to $250. They got promos all throughout the week. That's right. They're going to give you free picks in your player prop bets. They even, I think it's Friday, they got day for the underdogs. Hell yeah, we're talking college football. And you know I love them underdogs. So get in on the action at Underdog Fantasy. It's the best place to play weekly best ball. If you love that, then get in on the action at Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code BROSHMO when you sign up, and they will match that first deposit up to $250. But as always, bet responsibly, bet within your means. Playoff caliber teams, and I got the Jets. Jets. Dude, Aaron Rodgers is looking good. The defense looked better after, kind of being on the struggle bus the last couple of weeks. But to be fair, the Patriots and that offensive line, they'll do that to you. That's a good confidence boost. But Aaron Rodgers in the offense looks really good. got to include them in this playoff caliber team tier. They're going to be, I think, competing with the Bills for the AFC East title. Sorry, Dolphins. Right above them, I'm going to have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields has looked better and better each week, but man, I'm waiting for them to come up against that really good playoff caliber team and just be on the struggle bus. I'm waiting for it. The defense is playing great. We already knew Pittsburgh, they play great defense. Mason McCormick, he stepped in, looked good this week. Hell yeah, love that. But I think it's fair for me to be a little hesitant when it comes to the offense, and if they need to step up in a big way, can they do that? But Fields has looked good. He's kept the ball out of harm's way. That's not to say he's not missing potentially big plays, big gains, because he is, man. He is. He's not seeing it as a passer consistently. So let's see how he develops through the season. Right above them, I'm going to have the 1-2 Baltimore Ravens. I know people will be like, oh, this is a joke. They're 1-2. It's like, we're in week 3. You think the Ravens are a bad team? Get out of here. Get out of here. They might not necessarily be the team that wins the AFC North, but they're a good team. They looked really good this week. I didn't like that they took their foot off the pedal against the Cowboys and almost let the Cowboys back in the game. Don't like that, but the run game got going in a big way this week. And that defense is pretty solid. It's solid. It's not as good as years past, but I feel like they're going to get things going sooner rather than later. There have been some encouraging parts when it comes to that defense. Like Trenton Simpson looks freaking phenomenal. He looks really good. So I got the Ravens here. And then ahead of the Ravens, I got the New Orleans Saints. This puts them 8th in my power rankings. And to be fair, they should have lost by more points. Offensively, wasn't a good game. Finally, the offense hit a brick wall. To be fair, part of that could be Eric McCoy having to leave the game with injury after like 3 snaps. And the run game just wasn't good. They weren't able to hit some of those deep shots. Rashid Shaheed, 0 catches on 5 targets. It was kind of rough, but this defense was really good. Kept them in the game. They came up with a big turnover in the red zone. They came up with a big turnover on downs late in the game. Even the special teams came in, got a blocked punt. And to be fair, when the Saints offense needed to step up, they did. They got that go-ahead score, and unfortunately, well, the Eagles were able to not march down the field because they just hit Saquon Barkley just hit like a 60-yard run, but you get what I'm saying here. But I think the Saints are a good team, man. I just do. I can't help it. And then one last team I have in this tier, it's going to be the Green Bay Packers. And, man, they're playing really good with Malik Willis at the helm. The game plan's been great for them. And you got to imagine when Jordan Love returns that this is going to be a Super Bowl caliber team. You got to imagine that. The defense has been good. The blocking's been really good. And to be fair, Josh Jacobs, he's just kind of been so up and down. But they've been able to get other guys involved, whether that's like, who is it, Emmanuel Wilson. Malik Willis is doing it with his feet. But to be fair, they beat struggling teams like the Titans and the Colts. I don't know if that's an indictment on how good they are. We shall see. But Jordan Love, man, as Malik Willis continues to win games, dude, let Jordan Love get 100%. Just be like, hey, Jordan, you just sit here. We can get by right now. We can get by. All right, let's talk about these Super Bowl caliber teams. That's right. I got 6 of them down here. We got 3 AFC, 3 NFC, and I'm going to start with the Philadelphia Eagles. They're hurt. They're banged up. No A.J. Brown this game, and then they lose Devontae Smith in this game. They lose Lane Johnson in this game. They lose Mekhi Becton really early in this game. But the defense played really good football. Jalen Carter was a nightmare to stop. And the Eagles found other ways to get it done on offense, whether that was, well, Dallas Goedert having like 170-some yards. But you also had Saquon is just a freaking monster. Him behind a really good run blocking team. Chef's kiss. Freaking wonderful. Ahead of them, I'm going to have the Houston Texans. Yeah, they're coming off a down week, but a lot of that is Brian Flores' defenses apparently just own Kyle Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan apprentices. So maybe it's more of a scheme thing. I think better days lay ahead. I thought, honestly, CJ Stroud played a good game. He played as good as you can given the circumstances. I should put it that way. I know a lot of people look at the interceptions and listen, I'm a guy that I've gotten in the comment section and gotten into it with people because they think CJ Stroud is without faults. But I'm like, no, like his turnover worthy throw rate last year was on par with like a Kirk Cousins. Like, let's reel back. Just because he didn't have a high interception total didn't mean he didn't put the ball in harm's way. And now here I am defending him when he had a high interception total. Be like, well, you had a batted pass, got deflected. It's just kind of bad luck. Listen, I just call it how it is. Or at least I'm just going to give you my opinion. What I call it how it is, how I see it, how I view it. There's no agendas here. If there was, then the Dolphins would be much higher. But some people think I have the Dolphins too high. It is what it is. Regardless, Texans, tough game. Better games lay ahead. They should have a good bounce back game against the Jags coming up. But we'll see. We'll see. Division teams typically play each other fairly close, but the Jags have been really bad recently. I'm going to have the 49ers next on this list. I get it. They're 1-2. They're coming off back-to-back losses. One against Minnesota, which, hey, that's kind of the kryptonite for the 49ers. And then the Rams come storming back in a good win here. Listen, the Niners are good. They were without Debo. They were without CMC. They were without George Kittle this game. That's not including some of the injuries they have on defense, too. So, like, listen, this is a good 49ers team that's going through a slump. We saw them go through, like, a 3-game losing streak last year. It just happened after they won 5 games. Like, this is a good team. They're gonna get it going once again. I have no doubt about it. Again, when you do power rankings, it's not necessarily based on record. Just putting that out there. For goodness sake, I have the 0-3 Bengals here at 15. I'm going to put I guess I'm going to put the Buffalo. I feel like this is too low. I feel like I should have the Buffalo Bills at 2, but good game. Good game. It doesn't matter if they don't have an alpha at wide receiver. They could really throw the ball to a variety of different guys. They completed passes to 10 different pass catchers against the Jags. It was a great game. James Cook, he is an integral part of this offense, and Gregory Rousseau is becoming an all-star right before our eyes. The Bills are good. I don't know why I ever doubted them. Next, I'm going to put the Detroit Lions, but I'm kind of hesitant. I could go either way here. But I'm going to put the Detroit Lions. This offense, it's good when it's functioning well. It moves well. They basically take over the time of possession, and they dictate the game flow. You'll love that. Defensively, they're still figuring out, putting it together. Massive blow with Marcus Davenport going down with injury. They also had a couple of other guys like Sam Laporta, Derek Barnes. I got to go and look. I don't know what the extent of those injuries are. Hopefully it's nothing too crazy. You had Anzalone miss this past game with a concussion, but this Lions team's really good. It just is. Also, fun hook and ladder play. Love to see it. And then, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're undefeated. They win close games. The regular season doesn't matter to the Kansas City Chiefs. They live for the postseason. It doesn't matter if the offense is not hitting on all cylinders. They'll be better later in the year. At least they'll be better in the playoffs. Spagnuolo, he is him. He is that guy. This defense is great. They are number one. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? Go ahead. These videos are set up for you to criticize and react. So go ahead and react in the comment section below. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later. But hey, before we end the stream today, let's see what some of y'all are saying in the chat before we head out. As breaking news, boneless chicken thighs and ribeye pork chops smoking. Dude, Walt, it's Tuesday. Asher, so I have the Ravens, Jets, Packers, and Saints above the Vikings. Asher, again, the power rankings aren't, especially this early in the season, it's not necessarily based on like how teams are currently, but you also kind of got to project. You got to also look at teams that they beat. To be fair, the Vikings have beat very good teams, but how long can Sam Darnold play this way? Like, that's got to be a fair question. Like, think about it. How long can Sam Darnold, have we seen Sam Darnold do this for a season? No. So why am I going to have faith in the Vikings over proven teams like the Ravens? Shoot, even the Saints. The Saints are always in that playoff race, and they're playing better than they ever have since Breeze retired, or even since Breeze's like final 2 years, because he wasn't all that. Packers are a really good team. Of course they're going to be ahead of the Vikings. I think they have much better talent, especially when Jordan Love comes back healthy. And then the Jets, yeah, Aaron Rodgers is playing really good. Of course. Like, come on. Like, you got to honestly look at the Vikings. You got to have a realistic approach with the Vikings. If they continue with this, hell yeah, they'll move up. But you got to be waiting for this thing to come off the rails. You can't be that deluded, right? I don't think you're that insane. All right. Nonetheless, thank y'all for hanging out. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up on your way out. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.